joined by one of our students, Michael Valadares. Michael's been with us just coming up to a year now. And the reason we actually both wanted to do this video is I kind of want to give some insight into, we get a lot of the how long does it take question, you know, how long will it take me to get where I need to be? And it's an impossible question to answer. And I want to just kind of give you some reality to that, because everybody's journey into this profession and ultimately to success, and there's obviously, again, different ideas of what success may be. Let's just talk about it from the perspective of cash flow, whatever that might be. Everybody's journey to that point is different because everybody is unique in what they already know, right? Everybody's unique in the way that they apply themselves and how they learn. And all of these different things go into that sort of melting pot that really kind of come together to, are we going to get where we want to be or are we not? And if we're not, what is it we need to start working on? So I wanted to focus on that reality, and Michael here has been going through that reality, definitely sort of come out the other side of that, I would say now. But the journey's not over, and that's the point. It's a journey. You never really finish that evolution of growth, which is what is required to get to that success. So Michael, welcome. Thanks for your time. Just before we kind of got into this recording, you were just explaining, I guess, the journey into loan brokering. You were in the Marines, right? You retired from the Marines. There was a period of kind of decompression in terms of, I guess, that reassimilation, isn't it? To have from that world into another world. Kind of let's pick it up there and let's just talk about, okay, what happened when you got into loan brokering and kind of the journey since then to today.
Yeah, you know, everybody's journey is different, and I took a couple months off and did some research on what I could do from home, because I knew I didn't want to work for anybody else. You know, so I started my business from scratch, loan brokering, set up relationships with lenders. It was tough the first couple months. You know, I didn't know the marketing portion. So I knew I needed a little bit of help there, and got involved in one program and almost got involved in another. You know, and it did somewhat help, but it just wasn't giving me the, you know, I wasn't getting the results that I was looking for. So, you know, on my own, it did take me about 7 months before I funded my first deal. But, you know, hey, it paid off, you know, so I just kept on going. And, you know, it's just, I just, you know, had that desire to succeed. And I've seen it, you know, like you said, people have different paths. You know, some people like me start with no network, you know, starting fresh, brand new. Others have been working with business owners. And I think that's where sometimes the people that like me, that when you first get started, you see somebody right off the bat fund deals and you're like, what am I doing wrong? You know, but it's, everybody starts out at a different level, and everybody gets to a certain level at a different time period, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely true, 100% true. You know, like when you say you were looking at other people getting success and then asking yourself, what am I doing wrong? What was your next step from that? Like, how did you kind of get yourself back from that situation so that you carried on?
It was more looking at what exactly am I doing? You know, am I putting forth the effort? Am I making the calls? Am I reaching out to people? Am I, you know, at first I didn't have goals. You know, and when I mean goals, like daily amount of people that I need to reach out to on a daily basis to build up my pipeline, you know, so I break my goals. You know, that's one of the things I learned from Ion Capital Solutions, is to break everything down to get to where you want to be. What is it going to take on a daily basis and show up on a daily basis, you know? So it made me more effective in generating organic leads.
I think, yeah, I want to sort of touch on something there, because we always, you know, it's so easy to be overwhelmed, isn't it? Especially when you don't know what you don't know. There's all this information, you know, and you're looking at other people getting success and you're thinking, hang on, it's not working for me. And it's really difficult, I think, sometimes to find answers, because you don't even know what questions you should even be asking to get the answers. A lot of it, especially when you're starting out, right? It's just an emotional ball of, like, you know, what do I do? How do I make my money here? And as you said there, that the trick is, and we teach this, guys, is to break everything down into daily tasks, right? Any outcome anybody ever wants in life can actually be broken down into steps, because otherwise we wouldn't get there. We would never get these outcomes that we want if there wasn't something happening. Now, most of the time we're over that way, you know, all of these different places, but as long as we're moving forward, we will get there, right? But Michael, from your perspective, what do you think then, from having them broken things down, has been the trick to actually then producing results? What's been the main thing that you feel you've changed to start getting results?
You know, I make sure I spend specific time in my day. I have my day planned out. Do that on a daily basis now to ensure I have time for prospecting. You know, that's kind of the bread and butter of it. Even if I have applications in, if I've got something in underwriting, I know that I have to still set some time every day to make sure that I'm reaching out to new people, getting my word out, you know. And it just kind of, I had to remind myself of what I had to do on recruiting duty, you know, and lead myself on my own, because as a Marine recruiter on independent duty, you're on your own. And, you know, I just kind of had to be reminded of that, and having the support of ION, you know, makes it that much more simpler. You know, it's already hard, but, you know, knowing you have a back team support, if I have questions, you know, my account executive is there to answer the questions, so I don't have to go at it alone.
Yeah, exactly that. We put a lot of effort into support, guys, because we understand that, you know, we've done this. I mean, your 7 month to funding your first deal was actually, it beat mine because I was 8 months. And you know what that journey is like when you don't have any support. And often, you know, again, you know this. Can you do this? Let's ask the question. Can you, based on your experience now, learn and master this profession so that you're profitable by watching videos?
No, you have to do it. You have to do it. I mean, you can watch them, you can read, but it's just going out there and doing it. And if you make a mistake, oh well, half the time the people don't know. You know, you just go out there and do it, and that's how you learn. You don't worry about trying to be perfect, and don't rely on that one person that says, "Hey, yeah, I'm ready to get a loan," you know, because something may happen. They may not have the score that they say they have, you know. So you can't rely on it, and you just got to keep
people
on.
lie, right? People kind of, yeah, and you're gonna get, as a loan broker, you will get that all of the time, and you have to, if it has your BS meter kind of coming on, you have to kind of develop this skill set. The BS meter starts going wild when you're talking to a potential client, and you can just detect that they're lying through their teeth.
Yeah.
So what, when you had your first apps in, this is a key one I wanted to focus on. Did you take your foot off the gas?
I did.
Classic, right? Everyone does it. You put this work in, right? You're trying to work out what the hell you're supposed to be doing to make it work, and all of a sudden it starts to work, and these apps start to come in, and then we cruise. We kind of take the foot off because we've done this now, you know. And that's when the second stage of learning, to what Michael was just saying, comes in, where people don't tell you the truth. You can have what looks like an amazing deal at the beginning, doesn't mean it will fund. All of these different things that come into play. And the biggest lesson you learn from taking your foot off the gas, having got a few apps in, is that you can waste 12 weeks and still not make anything, you know. So what's the real key to this? Back to what Michael was really alluding to earlier, there is it's the consistency of the daily objectives. It doesn't matter what is happening, how much you've got going through the pipeline, how many deals are going to fund that month. If you take your foot off your daily objectives, your daily tasks, the wheels stop turning. And until you've got a big enough client book where you've got repeat business coming in, you've got referrals coming in, you've got clients that are now scaling because you've done a great job and they're giving you more deal flow, you cannot afford to stop the daily work rate. Because what will happen is, and you'll get to this point, Michael, there will be an evolution. of what you do daily. And there'll come this point when all of a sudden you're just fielding so much inbound inquiry for the work that you've done to get to that point, that you no longer have to keep cranking the wheel. You can start scaling it just literally by leveraging your client book. And that's the way to do it. You don't need to spend a bunch of money on leads and all of these different things that a lot of other people promote. You don't need to do that. And Michael's actually experiencing that right now. So, and let's touch on that. I mean, you're doing it. So what I've just said there, can you see that that's an actual realistic outcome from the work that you're doing right now?
It is, you know, and I did buy exclusive leads, you know, with quotes around it a while back, and I just wasn't even ready for it, you know. And then half of them, the people never answered. They never responded to emails, no matter how many times I called them, you know. So, but yeah, you know, just this week I've had three equipment applications. One of them is about ready to get funded. You know, and those are people that I have a whole bunch of referral sources that send me deals, you know, and I'm starting to see the effects of building relationships long-term with people. And I'm doing the same, right? I'm doing the same thing in the investment world, you know, with real estate investors. Just the other day, I had a guy that I messaged back in March this year. And then he reached out to me, says, hey, I got this deal, you know, and I can easily now just quickly analyze the deal and say, hey, no, this is not something that's going to work. You know, you're way above ARV. Nobody's going to fund this, and you have no cash liquidity, you know, so I'm not wasting my time trying to put, you know, square peg into a round hole, you know. So I learned the value of my time too, as well, knowing what I can do and can't do, and not relying on one specific deal to get done, you know. I've seen that with a lot of people, yeah, especially newer brokers.
It's a classic mistake, and I'm glad you highlighted the time thing as well, because one of the things, this is why I like to do these videos, we don't focus on, you know, how much commission's coming in and all that, you know, who's driving the Ferraris and all that stuff, because, you know, there's a practicality to achieving success, and you're hearing it from Michael, the stuff that he's going, it's not been plain sailing. He didn't get there in 12 weeks. He's got there because he's doing the work, and he's committed to his end goal, right? And so, as I said before, it doesn't matter if you zig and zag left or right, you will get there. The speed of which you get there is really just down to you as the individual and how much you really want it. That's the other thing, you know. But it's definitely not this kind of get rich quick type scheme. There are no shortcuts. There are no, I say this a lot, tricks and hacks. And actually, could you support that? Well, obviously, if you agree with what I'm saying, but could you support the statement as to the fact that there are no shortcuts in this, are there? That you can't buy this magical thing that suddenly just speeds it all up. The gimmicks and stuff don't work.
No, they don't. You know, it's just going out there and doing it. You know, doing the daily tasks. And you know, there's days where I don't make it. You know, make my daily goals, but I know that, hey, the next day I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that I do. You know, and for me, if I don't make them during the week, well, I guess I'm going to make it up on the weekends, you know, and hell, half the people aren't doing it, so I might as well, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a brilliant mindset as well, because it's having that discipline to keep yourself accountable. Because again, how many people, and I can guarantee there's quite a lot, like might miss a day, but then, oh, well, I've missed the day. And they don't make up for that day lost, you know. That's the beauty of this profession. You don't have to be like, you know, Monday to Friday religiously every day at the same times, but you have to be, you know, focused on the work. So whether you double that up one day, that's okay. Like to Michael's point, whether you did it on the weekend, that's okay, but you need to do it. The consistency of that is the key to success. That's what gets you funded deals, and that's what builds you the business. And then the other point, so what Michael said just again, is it's just relationships, guys. Like most stuff out there doesn't really teach this anymore. Relationships. I've lost. I mean, I can't remember the last program I've looked at that even talks about it. You know, everyone's talking about the shiny objects, the things you're supposed to use or do to get these results, but that's just stuff, guys. people have always bought from people, and that's never changed, no matter what technology says it's now able to do. It's a people business, and you've got to really grasp that fact. Like, if you aren't good at conversing and engaging with people, Michael, what's going to happen?
You're not going to talk to people. You're not going to learn. You've got to talk to them to learn. And that's one thing I learned is that when I reach out to people, so what? And if I don't get the results, then maybe I need to just change my messaging just a little bit and see what happens. Or maybe I'm looking in the wrong spot, and I love phishing. So I, up until recently thought about it as fishing. Sometimes you have to change the lure. Sometimes the weather's affecting, so you might have to change what type of bait you're using or location that you're fishing. I see it as the same thing. And that's kind of, when I get that fish, it's like, oh, good, now I'm ready for the next one. I got to find the next one. So that is what kind of motivates me, is like, the thrill of finding the next deal, while I still got others, in the works and, or waiting for docs for somebody, for one applicant, but I still need to find more,
That's such a great analogy, the fishing one, because it's about the hunt, isn't it? If you don't enjoy that part of it, then it is quite hard, isn't it? You're doing something that you don't like, so therefore you're not going to get results, right? You've got to enjoy the hunt piece, and then when you finally capture the prize, as it were, the feeling that gives you as well, it's like there's nothing like it. When you hook the client and you've got a good one and it actually funds, I mean, that's the best thing in the world. And that's the whole kind of thing through. But your analogy there to fishing, I think, is brilliant, because it kind of, to dovetail that into what we do, you cannot expect to just have a bunch of templates, and you're going to use these templates, and all of a sudden you're making all this money. It doesn't work. It's a human to human thing, and you've got to put your personality into what you're doing, and you've got to dial yourself in. So to use Michael's fishing analogy, if things aren't working, you've got to be the one that can accurately look at, well, what am I doing here? What are the circumstances? What's really going on? And what do I need to tweak? Now, if you're on your own, that can be a very long, painful process, because you don't have anybody to lean on that can give you any answers. If you're in a program, I'm not even talking about ours, but if you're in a program that's providing you support from people that are doing the very thing that you're doing, you get answers like that, because it's 9 times out of 10, the people that are doing that support have been through what you're going through right now, and therefore know how to dial yourself in. Michael, can we talk about something I dear to my heart, mindset? What are your thoughts on the mindset and how we are mentally kind of prepared each day to do what we need to do? There's one thing being consistent, but how do you deal with the mindset piece as well?
I think no matter what our experience is, it's something that we always need to focus on to be successful in whatever it is. I had to do it as a Marine, and I had to relearn it in a way, in the civilian world, because life events happen, and sometimes it gets you down. There's been a couple months this year where life events have gotten me down, and it's just about figuring out, hey, what do you really want? What is it that I want to do, and what is it going to take for me to get to there, to reach my end goals for me? That's one of the biggest things I learned recently, is I got to do it for me, and how being a loan broker is going to complement my life goals.
Yeah, amen to that. That was in our last mindset session, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a kind of a breakthrough moment for you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you think somebody that's been in a combat zone should have mastered mindset, but it goes back to, you have to have the training. You have to be willing to always learn and always improve in all aspects, whether it's mindset, whether it's marketing, learning how to communicate with people effectively. So that's one of the reasons why I like the clinics, because if I feel that, hey, I might need a little bit of help, or ideas on lead generation, or on mindset, say I'm having a bad week, let me just get into the mindset clinic to kind of refresh my memory or hear it from a different perspective. That's helped me a lot, or, sales. If there's I'm getting the trend of the same objection, then, hey, how would you guys handle this? So it's not just me trying to figure it out. I've got the support of the team and the other affiliates who are on the call to bounce ideas off.
Yeah, that's actually, I'm really pleased that there was a bit of a breakthrough in that last call, because one of the things I'm hoping you're also getting from Michael here is that a lot of this stuff isn't rocket science, and a lot of the time you already know what you need to know, but you just need that outside perspective to kind of help you shift perspective, right? To then see it a different way. Because I'm pretty sure that kind of realization that you've got to do it for yourself, it wasn't this kind of profound, like kind of moment. It was like, well, I know that, but you just needed somebody else to point that out to you to just switch that perspective, right?
Yeah. And like I told you, when I first joined ION, I was already partnered with a company that had been doing equipment financing for 30 years. And when I spoke to the owner, I knew, and he showed me how partnering with somebody who's been doing it, that has experience, improves your learning curve, so when we first talked last year, I knew that is something that I wanted with commercial real estate and with real estate investors, because I knew I wanted to get into that market. COVID last year made me focus from working capital to anything that deals with collateral, because that is basically what got funded last year.
Yeah.
Especially when lenders started tightening their requirements, or some of them just stopped lending, period. So you still have to be able to be flexible and adjust. And it goes back to the phishing thing. You have to make adjustments in any business, and having a support of either a partnership or, through a program where you can actually bounce ideas off, not here's the information, go run with it, but actually having conversations with people that have been in the industry, who have been funding deals, who are successful, is going to help you make yourself successful. But it still boils down to, you got to do the work. It doesn't come easy.
100% correct. Yeah. And it doesn't, I don't want to, when Michael said it doesn't come easy, we don't want to sort of put anybody off at this, but it's that kind of, it's a classic thing. Anything worth having in life takes work, right? And work is work. It's not meant to be easy. It can be fun, but it's not easy, right? And so there's two elements, and hopefully you're getting this from what Michael's saying now. It's not just about you building your business and growing your business. There's a lot of personal work that has to happen, personal growth that you've got to go through, and analyzing, and that's not all going to come to you at once, because again, you don't know what you don't know. So until you're starting, like again, Michael's point, you've got to get out there and just start doing the work. But until you do that, you aren't going to realize where you need work, right? And then when you need, that's where you then need to start focusing your time. It's not necessarily on the things that you're doing. It's the personal stuff. And again, correct me if I'm wrong here, Michael, but certainly for me, it was the personal work that actually helped me get success. It wasn't the stuff I was doing necessarily, or doing more of it, or being more structured. It was the fact that I started to realize where my shortcomings were, and I focused on solving that problem. And that just kind of dovetailed into like the stuff, the things that I was experiencing, the deals coming in. Would you say that's kind of similar for your own journey?
Yeah, it's similar. You always, you gotta be able to solve problems. You gotta solve your own problems first. And part of that is, if you're going to be a business loan broker, you've got to solve your own problems on how you're going to get the next deal. How are you going to adjust? And I also look at the recent changes with LinkedIn. There were I know some brokers that was their primary way of marketing, through LinkedIn and making connections. Well, when LinkedIn limited the amount of connections you can make on a weekly basis, they were like, well, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And here I am using, you know, email marketing, social media marketing, and other platforms, making phone calls to people who I believe would be good referral sources. And I'm getting, you know, referrals, and they're like, what do I do? It's like, you should have adjusted already. And, you know, knowing that this is coming, if you didn't pay attention, your competition has already adjusted, you know. So you've got to be able to make those adjustments. You've got to solve that problem before it happens, knowing that it's coming, you know.
Hope you're getting some insight here from Michael, because he's bang on the money with what he's saying, and you know, you cannot get lazy, you cannot rest on your laurels. You probably noticed again, he's got multiple channels of attack to the marketplace, and that's the trick. If you're relying on one channel, if that goes down, you're screwed. Your business is done, right? Your lifeblood of your business is your ability to engage with potential clients every day. So you've got to analyze, how are you doing that, you know? And again, you're probably noticing, other than maybe the earlier mistakes you made of buying leads, Michael doesn't buy leads. He doesn't spend money on stuff like that. You know, he does it the better way, right? Because it gets you into better conversations. And also from those conversations, that even leads to referrals, even if that person there perhaps hasn't even got any business for you.
Yeah, you know, and I've had some people that we couldn't get, you know, I couldn't get them funded, or they had a better terms than what I was able to offer them, but they've called me back on the next deal. You know, it may have been months down the road after I called them just to check up, and they're like, hey, you know what, I've got this, what do you think about it? You know, or new investors, asking them a couple more questions to ensure that they're ready and get them thinking that, hey, have you thought about this? And they're like, no, I didn't know that. Well, you might want to make sure that you address that before you get into a deal, because you know, you're not going to get funded. It's not going to happen, you know. And I've seen people go after deals, and it's like, okay, you find somebody that wants a loan, but now you're trying to place it with a lender, you know. And that's what I've learned through my mentors with Ion, and through my partnership, is go after the deals that your funding sources will fund, you know, instead of trying to go after everything. And, you know, I'm that much more targeted in what I pursue, and it works.
Again, bang on the money, right? And this stuff is not rocket science, guys. You know, this is just, it's common sense in a lot of ways, you know. I want to pick up on something you just said there, Michael, as well, about you phoned a potential client that was originally a no, and you kind of said, you put some suggestions into the mix. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? That was part of what you were doing, is following up, right? Just kind of keeping your name. And again, just take note of this, guys. You have to follow up. If 80% of what you ever make will be because you followed up. Most of your competition don't do it. That's where you win. But then again, the next point here is that you probably noticed Michael hasn't gone in saying, you know, hey, I'm just checking in. Have you got anything for me yet? Because that's all about Michael. And that's, again, where most people fall down. Michael's gone in thinking of the client first and adding value to the client by making some suggestions. Now, we always say, and I've got some videos up lately, where whoever offers the most value to their clients wins. And this is like the perfect example of that. It's one small thing, but that client now will remember Michael. And when they have that opportunity, they're going to come to Michael. And that's how you build relationships. And it's about just keeping yourself in their mind. They don't remember Michael per se in his name. They remember what Michael did for them. And if you kind of switch that perspective with your audience about what's in it for them, they only want what's in it for them. So everything you do for them has to be for them to move their needle. And if they then recognize that you're actually coming up with suggestions and advice or whatever that's moving their needle, they will come back and back and back every single time. That's how you make money and scale your business. So I just wanted to bring on that, because I don't think many would have picked up on that, but that's like a genius move, guys. You extrapolate that by every single person you speak to over a period of time, how many people start coming back? And that's the point. Again, sorry to keep talking, I just want to get this out. It's not, you cannot play the short game. You've got to think of it like planting seeds and watering and nurturing, right? You're going to get some stuff happening in the earlier days just because you're hustling like crazy. But the real opportunity comes when you've planted all of these seeds and they start shooting up, right? That's when it starts to come back to you. You might not immediately see any of the gains of the work that you're doing, but it will happen. You've just got to keep going and keep with it. What do you think that's the truth in terms of what you're doing, Michael?
Yeah, it is. You know, I've had, like I said, I've got so many referral sources right now. It's ridiculous. I've had one investor send me two people. You know,
Brilliant.
unfortunately, one of them, she submitted her application, but she didn't get the property under contract. You know, but hey, that happens in this industry. You know, but
that's a good client, right, for the next one.
I think there's other things where I've adjusted. You know, this year I've tracked, you know, how many applications I get. I have a whole whiteboard on my screen where I track what deals closed, what didn't. You know, so I know for every funded deal I need 5 applications right now, but now I know I need to tighten that down to get it to 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. You know. It's just those little things that, you know, I add on to see where I'm at and figure where do I need to make adjustments. You know, I'm tracking, where does this lead come from? Does it come from a referral source? Does it come from social media? Did I get it from an email campaign? And, you know, if I did get the email, where did I get it from? You know, to figure out what is working and going back and analyzing the data. You know,
brilliant.
I've even got an access database that I made because I knew I wasn't tracking some of the connections on social media that, you know, hey, I had a short, quick conversation, but I didn't follow up until I clicked on their name, you know, and it could have been 3 months down the road. And I'm like, oh man, I should have, you know, reached out back to them. And then I just started reaching back out to people. And then I was like, you know what, I need to figure a way to track it. So I track it, you know, because I use HubSpot, but you got to have an email to put somebody in HubSpot, you know. So I was like, you know what, instead of having a long Excel sheet, you know, I do have the tracker and where I track people that I've had conversations with, but what about those that I don't have conversations with, you know? So I have reminders of, hey, all I got to do is scroll through my date list and see which people I need to try to reach out to, you know. So those are the adjustments that I've made personally. And, you know, the thing that the ION leadership team kept on mentioning was know your data. And it was like, you know what, that's right. You know, on recruiting duty, I had to know my data. I need to know my data now. I need to know what's working and what's not. And, you know, try not to spin the wheels of always trying to connect with new people, but bring up the conversation with other people that I've had a quick conversation over social media, you know.
That again, it's brilliant. That's what you just said about the I say data, you guys say data. Data. Anyway, the data. It's like one of the things we always talk about in this profession is it's emotional, isn't it? It's there's a lot of emotion when it's not working out. It's very easy to get emotional, right? And one of the things we sort of talk about is you've got to be accurate with how you diagnose what's going on, and this comes back down to data. And you've got to be tracking all of your data. Now, it can help in negative situations, but to where Michael's at right now, it can help in positive situations where he's got multiple different things going on, all these different data points. And now we can use it to help him further dial himself in to become more efficient. Like, what is it that, and let's pretend it was one thing. What is this one thing that I'm doing that is making me the most return, cash return, right? The data gives you those answers. And when you know there's this one thing that's doing it, well, you should be doubling down on that one thing because that's your quickest and easiest way to start making more money. Now, there'll be more than those data points going on, but Michael's doing the right thing. He's being accurate. There's no emotion involved in what he's doing. He's letting the data tell him what he needs to do, and that's going to build the business. So,
and, you know, because, you know, when you send on any social media platform, when you send messages out on a daily basis, and connections, the list gets long and long.
Yeah.
So the prime example is I talked to somebody last week and they responded to my message, and so I put it in my little database and reached out to her yesterday. We jumped on the call and it ended up in an application being submitted for a
Really?
property.
Brilliant.
So
That's
it's
brilliant.
it,
And actually, one
it
more,
works.
it absolutely works, but I want to give you the negative of that, right? If Michael wasn't tracking that, there's a potential deal on client that's not he didn't even know about because he wasn't tracking it. He missed it. And again, it's right there. It's all the basic stuff. If you do the basic stuff all of the time, you make money. No way you don't. So I guess the moral of this. Sorry, did you want to say something, Michael?
No, I was just going to add, and it's a tough deal, but having the account executive to run it by with and say, hey, why don't we take a look at it anyways? And I'm like, okay, I'll get it submitted and on to the next one.
And this is it, actually, that just another one. Sorry, every time you say something, oh yeah, there's another point there. It's because Michael's going through it and he's hitting all of these things, and he's now, not only has he recognized the importance of it, he's doing it, and the results are coming from him doing these things, right? But to the client that you brought in yesterday because you were tracking, and the deal may be complex, it may or may not happen. The point I wanted to make there is that, again, it doesn't really matter whether the deal does or doesn't happen. The client's the important piece there. The client adds value to Michael's business. And if Michael does what he does and adds value back, you've got a client for life. That's how simple it can be, guys. Really, you just extrapolate the numbers. You get 5 of those in a month. How hard would that be? Not that difficult, right?
No.
5 clients like that, and you start building that over time, you're going to make money. No way you don't. And the longer you're in this, the bigger it becomes.
Yeah, and I've got somebody told me, what, I'm not looking at buying something, piece of equipment right now, but probably in about 6 months. So, in my little thing, I put a date, 6 months, 5.5 months down the road, and reach out to him, So
brilliant. This is great. Michael, just to wrap this up, what advice could you give to anybody that, perhaps watching this right now, they haven't started yet, they're doing their due diligence on how to start? What would you advise those guys to do?
I think it's the self-improvement, looking at yourself first, because you can take all the training, you can do all the research, you could learn as much as possible. But if you're not looking within yourself on how you can adjust, Ion has great tools, but even for me, I had to build up on that, on what works for me and where I can improve, on how I can improve based off of, how I operate and my personality, with any industry, I've even seen real estate investors always looking for mentors. And I think that's what you have to have. And there's no better way to do that than either partnering up with somebody or being part of a community that has that mentorship where you can bounce off ideas on different things. I think that is what is important in being successful.
I completely agree. And to Michael's point, it doesn't necessarily mean you join a program. You can find successful people and see if they want to partner up with you. That's what I initially I didn't. I was a bit egotistical, to be honest with you. I decided against a mentor, learned that the hard way. Then I got a mentor. If I'd have done that at the beginning, I don't know, it would have been a vastly less painful experience for me anyway. But the point is, go get a mentor. Like, don't pretend you can work stuff out by watching a few videos online. You will not do that. Your journey will be so long, you'll likely just quit because it's just too painful, right? Get a mentor to help show you to do that. And obviously, we do have a program. We do have all of that going on, but I'll let you do your own due diligence to make your own mind up. If you want to chat to us, there's a link below this video in the description. Please book a call. We say this all of the time, and I think Michael might attest this. We aren't selling training. We're not looking to sell you or close you or anything like that. It's just a conversation. We'll show you what we've got going on. We'll ask you questions. You ask us, and we kind of come to a decision together, And if in Michael's situation, you take the plunge, you don't really look back, It's you're doing well now. I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
brilliant.
Sure is.
Thank you, Michael, for your time, and thank you guys for watching, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you.